welcome to Nightborne, day 2 of our week. Hey Tater, I see you in chat. Before we go around and say hello to everyone, please take a moment to check out all of our wonderful links, including places you can get merch, places you can support us, places you can find us socially, places you can find our sponsors, Bird and the Storm Publishing and Mage Hand Press, whom we are very grateful to because they make this all possible, and also a whole bunch of websites where we get 10 to 15% discount on all of their goods, pretty much. I think all of their goods. I think it's site-wide on all of them across the board. And also the tweet, because retweeting really helps us out. Let's go around and say hello to everyone. Let's go anti-clockwise this week and start with V.
With me! Hi everyone, I'm V, I'm the Craft Muse. You can find me over on YouTube. This afternoon I am playing the lovely Zamira. She's got a sharp tongue and a little patience left, but definitely getting to consider this group of people very much like her family. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with everyone else today, because, you know, it got interesting last week.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean. Next around we have Avery!
Hello, my name's Avery. I go by Mapbot Online. I'm an artist and a sometimes cosplayer. And I'm playing Dell, our dear sweet robot that everybody loves and everybody cherishes, and they will protect us, hopefully. They've currently got like a Jaren snoozing on them, and they haven't quite realized that they may have goofed up the fact that Sparks is having an adventure, but they'll be fine.
It'll be totally fine. Next around would normally be Alice, but Alice is having a bit of recuperation time. She's hoping to feel better before Call of Cthulhu, which she runs at 7, hopefully, but we'll let you know on that one. We'll post her links anyway. She is the headmistress and my wife. She's very talented in all the things that she does. Next around we have Phoenix 24 Femme, Angela.
Well, hi there, everybody. As Scrat said, I'm Phoenix 24 Femme. You can find me on Patreon at PhilosophyFemme, on Twitter at Phoenix 24 Femme, where I write, create poetry. It's been a while, but I'm getting back to it soon. And I also now stream over at Welcome to the Party on my own stream with an all-POC campaign, Adventures in Agni, on Saturdays. So if you want to catch me there as a DM and not as a player, yay! But I'm playing Beatrice Arzabe, the very feelsy academic-y type who writes down everything and has a lot of feelings about her wife every single minute.
I won't bother introducing Sparks, we'll just see what happens. Jeff, the DM! Oh, hi!
Hey, how's it going? I'm getting very used to, we'll just see how it happens. My name is Jeff Ellis. You can find me on Twitter at Many-Eyed Monster, where I write RPGs and RPG supplements. And I am excited to get into today's episode. And with that, let's do the thing. All right. You're watching episode 6 of Nightborne, the Storm King. Your monarchs flee my touch, call me corrupt, spread their farce. I am the plains and the mountains. I am the sea. I hold the reins. Damn the stars, condemn the liars, burn the betrayers, and forge the bars. That was Keep the Kings by Yoride. It is a beautiful morning in the floating lake town of Eska. Fishers kiss their spouses goodbye for the day and muss their children's hair. No words are exchanged. Their long, barbed spears glint in the rising sun as they walk out onto the surface of the lake. Bobbing on the water top, they spread out and dip their spears into the water. In the quiet, Dia's screaming turns every head skyward. Tumbling, ass over tea kettle, the young Moraviri scavenger plummets through a portal, pursued by a Raskar in a full dive, being ridden by a cackling man, crackling lightning in his wake. The fishers abandon their spears, sprinting back to the safety of Eska as up from the depths, a Piscine leviathan breaks the surface of the lake, and its great jaws part. Sparks, you have one chance to avoid being swallowed by what seems to be a gigantic fish. What do you do?
I would like to use my push ability to Junkrat on top of the Leviathan. No hesitation. I know.
No hesitation. So I will let you do that, but I am going to add a challenge to it unless you want to refute it with 1 XP.
I spent all my XP on leveling up. Hit me.
Take that, sucker. Cool. So in that case, because this is a GM intrusion, you do still get 1 XP, and you can give 1 XP to someone.
I will give the XP to Beatrice.
Sweet. So in order to do this, to come out of this portal that essentially last episode at the very end, you sort of hit the monolith, came through, and all of that, your whole world is sort of shifted in location. You're coming right out of it into this scenario. Roll me a speed 4 task. Keep your mind sort of focused and ready for all of this stuff flying at you.
Speed 4. Come on, dice. Come on. Okay, difficulty 4. I'm going to put some effort into it.
Nice.
Wait. One of the advancements is more effort, right? So now I can spend 2 levels of effort. Oh.
Yeah, so actually, so now that you have more levels of effort, it gets a little weird. So you spend 3 points for your first level of effort and 2 points for every level after that. So to spend 2 levels of effort is 5 points, essentially.
I just used Roll20. Roll20 works it all out for me and tells me how much it costs.
No, yeah, I'm so happy. That's good.
See, there it is. It cost me 5. Yay!
Now, as you were doing this, and because you rolled successfully, I'll let you tell me maybe how you work this out. You are on your Raskar, and Dio is ahead of you, plummeting towards this same fish mouth. So if you want to push in a way that pushes just you, or maybe you want to try to use push to redirect the giant fish, essentially, that is up to you.
So I have very little control over push. It says in the thing that it has to be, it's too crude to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So essentially, if we were to look at this as a kinematic equation, this is going to be an explosion where both things move in separate directions.
Right. That makes sense.
I'll be exploding upwards, pushing my Rathgar into the person on the floor and the fish.
Okay. So just you are going up while everyone else is going down and the fish is still coming up?
Yes. I'm very sorry to my dear teammates who may have had connections to Dio.
So this giant fish comes out as this portal opens and you're falling, and we see sparks sort of hop and blast off of the Raskar. The Raskar, from the force, sort of like loses all of its balance in this dive, tumbles straight down. Pushed by this force, it's able to catch up with Dio and collide into her, and we just see the giant fish just and then submerge back in. Sparks, you watch as this giant Leviathan sort of submerges. The water is clear enough that you can see that it is not going very deep. It's sort of just circling in the water. And you are still now essentially falling out of the sky. The lake is large enough that pretty much wherever you're going to fall is in water. But if there's anything you'd like to do, let me know.
So it submerges.
Yeah, it goes back down under, but it's massive, and you can see it through the water very easily. It's just sort of circling just under the water.
Okay, so one of the other things I took with my new advancement was an extra edge, which means I can now push for free. Do I need to wait for a cooldown time or anything like that, or can I just ping-pong ball myself everywhere?
Go for it. Excuse me.
Can I try and ping-pong myself back towards the shore?
So you want to essentially use like controlled blasts to sort of continuously knock yourself until you land?
Yeah.
I will say that you won't need to spend any intellect tasks to do that. But to do that, Sparks, so you're probably not trying to do it too accurately. You're probably just trying to get to the ground.
Oh yeah, no, I'm Junkrat. I'm just whee! Whee!
Yeah, I will say that you you're able to hit the ground, or not the ground, sorry. You're able to launch this explosion and sort of redirect yourself very crudely, just sort of tumbling in the vague direction, like not even like over there, but literally just like north in general. Tumbling through the air towards the ground, and you see the Leviathan course correct and jump once more. These pushes, these loud explosions, each time sort of drawing its attention, and it is going to leap up one more time to bite you. So if you want to make another speed 4.
I've seen this mouth twice now. May I ask some observational questions?
Yes, absolutely.
Is it full of teeth?
No, it's a big old fish mouth. It's just nasty gums in there.
So, as I look down its maw, does it possibly look like I could, Moby Dick this?
I mean, yes. So as it's coming up and you're looking down into it, I think you mean Monstro, right?
Possibly.
From Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I don't think they go inside Moby Dick.
Don't they? I don't know. Jonah and the whale. There's like a million different stories of whales, and I don't know.
As you look down, you actually see, you don't see any sign of your Raskar, but you see Dio literally like on the roof of this thing's mouth with 2 blades just stuck into it, sort of dangling there as it rises up again out of the water coming towards you. There is more than enough room. This thing is massive.
Does it have tonsils?
You can't see from here. It might. I don't know fish anatomy.
I'm aiming at its tonsils if it has any.
We'll say it does because this is space. Space fish, they got lots of tonsils. I
just want to cling onto it.
Okay, yeah, so roll me, we'll just say it's still just a 4, essentially. You're letting it sort of eat you, but you're trying to grab something specifically. So we'll still have you just roll against its level, essentially.
What am I rolling?
A level 4 speed task.
Oof.
In this case, specifically kind of like dexterity, making sure that you grab on at the right time.
Okay, is there any way I can make this easier? No. Okay.
We see this Leviathan rise up. Sparks has been sort of skipping himself like a stone through the air with these explosions. And then from where we see it sort of off on the shore, we just see it and then splash back down. And for a while, things are quiet. The water begins to settle, and after a while, there aren't any ripples on the lake. And the Leviathan turns from the surface and heads back down into the depths of this massive lake. This is not like a summer cabin, just the lake up at, like, this is a huge, like, Lake Michigan lake. And we see the people of Escasca sort of return to the surface of the water, sort of tentatively at first. They keep eyes out and then return to their day. And as the silence returns, we pan away to a red and green forest where the rest of our adventurers are sort of waking up to an early morning. It is dewy. There's like a gentle like mist, not very thick. You can easily see, and it is a little cold. Del and Jaren, you're kind of damp from being outside, as well as Roostabon, who is sort of just, you wake up, Del, and you see Roostabon just sort of still sitting there by the kind of large like pyramid thing that you had. Apparently just looking at it, really.
Yeah, I don't think Dell slept too much. So they might have powered down for like periods of time, but they turned to Roosterbarn to kind of tilt their head, and just ask, it's like, "Did you rest?"
You see the face sort of rise out of the fog, and he says, "Yeah."
Oh god, it's a robot conversation.
Oh no. Oh no, the darkest timeline.
This is it. Dell just kind of nods, like, "Good to hear." Kind of looks around. "Good morning."
Good morning. Your friend did not return.
Kind of looks around. "Sparks has not returned."
Correct.
Kind of look down. See if Jared is dead to the world currently. I feel like they feel like they're about to commit the ultimate sin of like getting up when a cat is sleeping on them, but it's Jared. But they have to. So just kind of very carefully move Jared, then rest them like on the rock that they'll rest leaning up against.
Mm-hmm.
And just stand up and kind of, I guess, shake the dew off of them. And does anyone else look like they're waking up at the moment?
That is up to y'all. Zamira and Beatrice, you both slept in tents last night. How's your morning look?
Probably as soon as the light starts filtering through the tent, Zamira would start waking up as well and sort of regaining bearings, considering the different surroundings they've been in over the past couple days. That bleary-eyed wait. This is not my bed. This is a tent. How did I get in a tent? Oh, that's right. Damn it. And she untie however this tent closes itself, and she'll emerge out and see Del and Rustaban. And Jaren's still fast asleep.
Beatrice probably would have been up even earlier than that. She would have wanted to be up early just to try and catch Zamira before we got into anything. And she's probably going through any of the food that Dio had left previously and doing the same sort of thing again with hedge magic of just lifting it up into the air and preparing it. And if there's any little pots and pans, just going through the motions. It's just a whole parade of various ingredients for breakfast going through the air. She's just cooking it over a flame or something. It's just a lot of that, and she's just probably just waiting for Zamira to wake up. Good morning. Seem to have slept somewhat well.
Surprisingly, yes. How about yourself?
It's the forest. It means I will always be happy here. It reminds me of home.
Well, that's comforting. Jaren's still asleep?
He did happen to go through quite a lot yesterday. I would imagine he's going to need some time to rest.
Agreed. How about you, Del?
The nod. It's like, I have rested enough to be functional. Sparks has not returned.
What do you mean he's not returned? That means he left.
Del just kind of, and you see them just kind of pull into themselves and start fidgeting with the hem of their little, of the little cape. He.
Del, what do you know about Sparks?
Del is looking everywhere but Zamira.
Oh my god, you are so describing my youngest right now.
Del. And Beatrice is still doing all this, so just imagine eggs or meat being sliced and eggs being cracked and things just happening. Del, I know that look. That's the look that I get whenever she caught me doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing or didn't want to talk about something. What happened?
The amount of emotion you can tell from just a blank slate is incredible. But yeah, Dell's just looking at it like, Sparks encouraged me to discover what fun was.
Oh my god.
And he never came back last night. He found his friend, the bat, and I left as it took us to its nest and thought I was food. So I left Sparks alone, thinking he would come back to camp, and he did not. And you can see, just as he's been talking about this, the lights have been slowly going to a darker blue, as they're like, oh no.
Quite frankly, Del, not a single word of that is a surprise to hear. And you probably did the right thing by not staying around and becoming someone's snack.
I'd also add, I don't blame you for any of it.
Me either,
But,
because you said encouraged.
Did he ask you what you wanted, or did he lead you to figure out what you want, what he wanted? There is a distinction between the two things.
I am yet to understand this distinction. But
Under
he did
normal-
ask.
Under normal circumstances, would you have done this of your own volition?
It was not physically possible for me to do this of my own volition. He showed me how to fly.
Zamira's gonna look at Beatrice. So that's a no.
That's a. You'll see her just like do a couple of movements with her fingers, raise her notebook up, and start just dictating to it. She's not even taking the time to write it physically now. She's just like annoyed and like raising it up.
Oh, Del's got two moms right now who are just at the point of like, oh my god.
Oh my god. These two siblings.
You have two moms at this point. I agree with Samira. It's fun.
Okay, so last we know, Sparks was bat bait, for lack of a better description.
If he were to stay with his creature, it did have young. Perhaps they went back to it. I can investigate.
At this point, Roostaban chimes in. He says, "Yeah, I know where the tree is.
Oh, delightful.
Do you want me to take you over there, or I could go see if he's there?"
We can go and I can check the nest.
Wait, Del. We've already lost one member of the party by people splitting up and going off on their own. Let's try and keep who we are aware is still alive here. And wait to do something. At the very least, until breakfast is done, let me finish this. The last bit of her prep is just half-hearted, just waving. It's just like, there.
Yes, she's right. This is not the time to start, Oh, good lord. Del, this was not your fault. None of us are angry with you. Okay? Sparks is convincing.
We're not mad, we're just disappointed.
No. No, there's no disappointment either. There's more. Wait till I get my hands on that little shit, maybe, but not you.
Del just nods and then just kind of, there's a little clink as they plonk themselves back down. They just kind of keep fidgeting with the hem of the fabric.
Samira would walk over and just sort of like take his hands and be like, just trying to hold him like, really? No one's mad at you. We understand.
Kind of nods. It's like, I am worried.
Well, you've learned something new then, at least.
Beatrice will just sort of wave her hands, just get the last bit of the food onto the plates, and then move over to Zamira, give her a plate of food with a look on her face that I'm sure Zamira can read as like not even that, whatever that emotion of that expression is, that's what you read on her face. But you also probably catch her like holding up the book and she's flipping through it, and you probably read a section that reads how to effectively tie ropes. And she's like, see her fingers twitch, and she's like, and she just moves it back, and then she
that wasn't a bad idea.
We'll think about it. Oh.
Last resort. Well, maybe second to last resort outside of a sack.
Do we want to go with second to last resort at this point?
I have no idea.
Neither do I. She's just gonna sit down right next to Zamira, and if Zamira is comfortable with it, she will rest her head against her. Just that level of like, we're both already tired. We're already done with the day, and the day just started.
So the three of you, four of you, eventually Jaren wakes up and joins you for breakfast. You eat your meal, and as you are finishing it up, I would like the three of you to make a level, hold on one second, double check. Level 2 intellect test for me to perceive, essentially. So if you have anything for hearing or sight, that could ease it.
And thank you very much to TJ Young, who gifts a point to Sparks because they feel like they might need it. You don't know how right you are.
Yeah, he will. Now, if we have the edge, we drop it down a little, right?
No. If you have edge, it reduces any points you would spend. So if you wanted to apply effort, it would reduce the cost of that.
I was getting my E's confused. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
If you have the API set up, it'll work out edge and everything for you.
I forgot to put in the difficulty, but it's a 14, so...
Yeah, your 14's very good. Okay, perfect. That's fine. Zamira dies. She's taken off into the woods. Oh my god. No.
Oh, no.
So, Zamira, I imagine maybe like you and Jaren are talking or something. Beatrice and Del, you are eating, and you notice just kind of on the edge of the sort of like dome that you're in, very translucent energy, like you can see right through it, but you know where the boundaries are. You just see this kind of like little like squirrel-like creature just sort of walk up, and it just sits there. And it just looks at you. Oh.
I'll just looks at the back and tilts the head.
Mm. It sort of comes closer to the barrier. Mm.
Wait, did Del say that to us?
Yeah, I was like, do you know what this is?
It's cute.
Del was out when Gio said don't trust cute things.
Del, so that you're aware, take this as a note for your memory. From what Dio says, cuter correlation is higher cuteness equals higher likely to be bad or kill us. Remember this one, just in case.
So I looked at this.
And you're watching this little squirrel thing, another one comes up behind it and stands on its shoulders. And it just goes,
God, there's more of them.
Cute is definitely bad.
Oh.
Just kind of looks at Zamira like, would you like me to eliminate it?
You know what? What the hell? Sure.
Oh god, I'm gonna die. Del?
No.
Wait,
She was like, no, wait, sarcasm. Sorry, sarcasm.
Del is already up with a sword drawn.
Yeah.
And looks at Zamira.
Any ideas, Beatrice?
question to GM: would I recognize any sort of creature from previous travels that looks like this or anything like that?
It looks kind of like a squirrel, and that's about it. It kind of looks like a chunkier squirrel with a shorter tail.
Oh Lord, he's coming.
Exactly, and bigger eyes. And as you're watching it, two more come up a few feet away.
We're just gonna be surrounded in these.
This is like Snow White's minions.
Thank you very much, Berserker Rage, who has resubscribed and gives their reroll to Avery.
Yay! Depending on what the people tell me to do, I might need it.
Is there any sort of like rock or anything that's within that looks like within eyesight of the squirrel-like creatures? Like any sort of rock in front of us, or any just odd structure, like little thing in the camp?
Like a boulder or a...
Yeah, just anything like that.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I want to use hedge magic, just walk over it so that it's within I'm both within eyesight of the creature. Use hedge magic to just change the color of a section of the boulder to a really off-putting, like vibrant, like blood red color, just to see how they react to any magic being done, anything being done near them.
I'm
still within the dome area, just to be clear. I'm staying within the domed area. I'm not going outside.
Stay within the dome.
You turn at this red, vroom, and all four of the creatures around the border just go, "Whoa!" And they just watch it.
Dell is still standing there, stock still with that sword like half drawn, waiting for instructions.
Literally hold that thought. Zamira's is there like scraps or something on the table still left over from breakfast?
Yeah.
Can we throw things through the dome?
Yeah.
Okay, so she'll grab a handful of the scraps and like hurl them through the dome past these creatures to see if maybe they came because they smelled the food or something like that.
This meat lands and rolls a little bit, kind of between the two groups, and they descend on it in one of the most horrifying sights you've ever seen. Their bodies split open, and their whole body is just one giant mouth full of teeth, and they just shred all of this meat to pieces. There's nothing left.
Cute is terrifying.
That was very bright, Zamira. I'm writing that down in the book. Avoid mouth squirrels.
Avoid mouth squirrels at all costs.
Avoid mouth squirrels.
We used that trick for the rats near the dumpster by the shop. I can't believe that actually worked.
I'm very glad it worked.
As you all watch this, they finish what's there, and then they sort of just bound away back into the forest. At this time, Roostabon, who has just kind of been sitting next to Beatrice watching everything with these squirrels, his head kind of zooms in and he says, "If you want me to go into the forest and find the tree with sparks in it, I can do that. I'm not afraid of squirrels."
It would be much appreciated, Roostabon. Take care of yourself if you can, please.
All right. Smell you later. And he just runs off into the woods.
Did he just make that joke?
I will have to add that to my notes. And that's like a sense of humor develops over time.
So,
well, that's a good start to the morning.
As the three of you sort of break camp for the day and start getting ready, we will pan over to a dark, dank place where we see Dio holding onto two knives in the ceiling of a fish's mouth, looking over at Scrat on a giant fish tonsil. You would have let me die.
I'm here, aren't I?
You're here because you got swallowed by the fish.
So are you.
Precisely. Because you knocked the giant Raskar into me. Because you chased me with the Raskar. Wait, you...
Hey! Rathgars chase people. What were you doing sneaking around in the middle of... This isn't the time! We've got more pressing matters, and if you want to get out of this...
I brought you food! I brought you shelter! I saved you and
I shock him! I shock Dio!
Dio's a woman, but that's fine.
I shock her! I shock Dio!
How much damage does shock do?
Good question. But Sparks wouldn't think about that, so I'm just gonna proc it. 3 points of damage.
Oh my god. Let's see, how much health does she have? Okay. This like bolt of electricity flies out. Oh, I'll let it fly this time. It's a touch attack. She's like a ways away from me, but this bolt of electricity flies up, and shocks her. She's like, you and I are about to have a very interesting talk as soon as I can. She looks at her hands.
That's what I'm trying to say. If you'd stop ranting and raving, if we're gonna get out of this, we should probably work together.
Oh. Fine. Do you have an idea?
Maybe. This is a fish, right?
I think I saw it for 2 seconds.
It's either a fish or a mammal.
Or a reptile.
Which means it's either got lungs or it's got gills.
I don't think it has lungs. We're
So
definitely underwater.
You'd be surprised how long some fish can stay underwater.
You're a strange man.
No, I'm just well educated.
Roll me a level 2 might task to continue holding on to this very slippery fish tonsil. So as you were talking, you have 1 XP you can reroll if you want, or use a reroll from chat.
I don't have any rerolls from chat. The only person who does is Avery. But I'm also going to save my XP because leveling up is important to Sparks right now.
You fall off of this tonsil into essentially a slide that is this thing's throat.
So what Sparks was trying to communicate to this person before he fell was that they should aim for the clearest tunnel, one that looks like an airway rather than a mucus pit or anything like that.
That is not the tunnel you're going into. You're definitely going into a mucus pit or something like that.
I have push. I can,
You are sliding down this thing's gullet, essentially. You land and begin sliding down it, and you see Dio just look at you, and she kind of watches you fade into the darkness for a bit before she's just like, oh, Polymine, I hope you're out there listening. Tell my family that I love them. I don't know how I feel about this strange man, but I doubt I can hold on to these for much longer anyway. And she drops and hits it and just slides down after you. And you both descend into the innards of this massive fish. Everything is moving and damp and alive. And eventually you slide into what is this large essential chamber with a pool at the center of it of essentially stomach acid. You slide, but you come to a stop before you touch it, and then Dio slams into you, but you both are kind of like, oh! And the smell here and the air is just suffocating. Dio looks around for a second before she reaches into one of her pockets and pulls out kind of a face mask that she attaches to her face. Oh, I hate this.
No, hang on.
I'm hanging. Well, I was.
Oh, boy. Oh! We've got
no.
so much acid at our disposal!
Oh, no.
Do you have anything metallic, like copper or nickel?
I have, she pulls out a Numenera that is kind of like a large ring that you think is probably copper.
Great! Copper! Don't tell me what it does, I don't care. We're gonna use that as a diode!
What?
Now we need a cathode.
Okay.
We need a cathode. Something of any other kind of metal. We're gonna turn this creature into a great big battery!
A battery? I don't know about... Sparks, will you make a level 4 speed task for me?
Oh.
So as soon as you say battery, out of the darkness, Batty slams into you, screeching, and it rises up over you. Its mouth opens, and its ears kind of like shake with rage, and it looks down at you. Its jaws just sort of dripping.
I have skill with illusions. I've never used it before, but if there was ever a time, this is it.
What do you want to use? What do you want to use it for?
I want to roar at it and make myself seem terrifying somehow.
So skill with illusions doesn't necessarily mean you can make illusions. It would apply to something that you already had with it. But I mean, this is the same creature that you like trained, and you did so using that sort of like shock, the shocks to its kind of like neural system, and you are 100. Like your arms are free. You can touch it from where you are.
Oh, I just shock it then, I guess.
Fair. Yeah, you reach out and put your hands on it and send this current through it, and it roars and then sort of steps back, and it stretches, and you see that one of its wings is broken, and it sort of just pads around in a circle and then sits down next to you with its head low, kind of just glaring at you.
Good, now sit.
It looks at you, and then it slowly sits down lower.
Good. Like I was saying, we'll turn this thing into a great big battery!
Okay, I don't... alright, so we need more metal? I am more or less fresh out of...
You've not got a knife or anything like that?
She looks around.
I mean, I've got one, but it's quite nice, so I'd rather not, but I can use it, I suppose.
Okay, well, we're
Thank
already
you very
using
much.
my...
Thank you very much, Tater, who gives me 5 points and 2 rerolls.
Oh, nice. Oh my goodness, nice. Dio like looks at the thing she's already holding. She says, "Well, I am already putting my Numenera into this. I think we can use your knife."
Fine.
You don't need...
Fine.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm sorry that you have to help us get out of the situation that you put us in.
Look, I don't really need you, okay? Just remember that as we go forward. I couldn't care less about you.
I got the impression, yes, when you blew me up and fed me to a fish.
Good. Learn from this. And Sparks is gonna start looking around his person for wire. He must have some wire somewhere. He's always messing around with electrics. And I'd like to wrap the wire around the ring, wrap the wire around the knife, and just like, where would he plug it into? I think he'd just stick him into his head.
Oh God. So I imagine you're wearing like, does it just look like a halo attached to your head with wire?
He
Like
pierces his ears with copper wire. That's what he's going to do. He's going to pierce his ears with copper wire, put them in the acid, and then just wait for the charging to happen.
Oh my God. I think, I think Sparks knows enough about this that it would work if he thinks it does. I trust...
the acid would slowly turn to water. What that does biologically to the Leviathan is up to you, but this is electrolysis 101.
Turning its stomach acid into water. Does it steam at all? Like, does it start to like, or does it just?
No, it just happens over time. It's also a good way to de-rust things if you've got rust on something.
As this happens, and it does, it begins to happen, and the battery begins to charge. And Dia's watching you with just so much disdain. The charge in the ring, as it travels through the ring, begins to activate the Numenera. And I'm going to find one real quick, I'm just going to type in, what is the worst possible Numenera this could be? No, I'm just kidding. I have a chart for what Numeneras Dio has on her person once I find it. Okay, notes. Here we go. I think I know. I think I already found it. Okay, I just needed stats. Dio is just watching you, and she has the exact same expression on her face that Batty does. They're both just glaring at you. This is actually going to help you. You bastard. So as it activates, this is actually a disrupting nodule. And the ring itself sort of affixes itself to you. And this isn't... Normally, the way a disrupting module works is that it affixes to a melee weapon, but with all of this, it's sort of just afflicting to you.
We have to keep it separate from the knife, otherwise it won't work.
For the next 28 hours, you deal 1 additional point of damage. And that can just apply to your lightning stuff for these purposes. And Dio is just like, okay, so we have a battery, yes, and you've turned this fish's guts into water.
Turning, it's gonna take a bit of time, but when it's finished, I'll have so much energy!
And you hear this kind of rumble. And all the walls around you kind of shake and turn. And Sparks, you get this energy filling through you. And all your life, ever since your powers first manifested themselves, you have been connected to the storm. You know when there's a storm. Mm-hmm. And you feel a massive one coming.
Yay!
Not within the confines of this fish, obviously, but you know that that outside of here something is changing with the environment in a big way.
I think just for dramatic effect, Sparks would like to quote that movie, which I can't remember what it is, and I can't remember the line either, but he's going to see there's a storm coming in Spanish.
Oh, excellent. and Dio says, what? And then we pan over to the group in Porto and Quare in the forest. And as you all have been sort of unpacking and waiting for Rustaban, a wind begins to pick up in the forest. And, you know, the trees are shaking, and the sun, what little sun there was now, blocks out. It is extremely dark in this forest as you hear tink, 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 and Roostaban runs up into the camp. You see, like, some furry bits and a little bit of blood on him in places, and he just walks up and he says, and he sits down and he looks at Beatrice and he says, "He's not there. Neither is the Raskar. Also, it looks like a storm's coming."
Well, that's disconcerting.
What about the young? Were they still there?
Yeah.
Are they still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? And he looks, his head turns. Oh, yeah, I ran into some of those squirrel things. Yeah. They tried to kill me. Didn't work, though.
Yeah, clearly, because, you know, you're standing right there covered in the...
Yeah, no, yeah, I just thought you might need some clarification.
That's
Appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
Roostaban, on that note, what sort of defenses do you have that you handled such things so well? Just for further clarification, we're not worried or anything. We just would like to know for our own sake.
I can't even use this stuff on you guys. Don't even worry about it. And he turns around and he faces the big, like, red rock. And out of, like, where his collarbones are, where the neck meets the collarbone, these two, like, essentially, like, liquid blades whip out, and they just cut this rock in half, and it just goes... And then they... So basically that.
So that's a thing we know now.
Yeah.
Aren't you happy that I said yes to having him along?
I'm still processing. Please check back later.
I also understand this feeling, because she's like writing in her notebook, but they're like, her face does not match up with the excitement of the notes. Like, the notes are like, wow, this is great, and these are like cool discoveries. Her face is just like, well, this is great. It's fine. It's all fine.
Murder puppy.
Murder puppy.
As you're all standing around sort of processing all of this, you hear a very loud crack of thunder in the distance, and it sort of just rolls through the camp. The pyramid that Dio set out for you that has this sort of field, the field sort of just flickers. What would you all like to do for the day? When last you saw Dio, she pointed out that Davia's perch is very, very dangerous for you right now, and that more of the nightcraft in its descent spread out further to the north, excuse me, where Dio had told you that there was like a fishing culture there that sort of reveres water as sacred. And then to the west are the Burrs, which are those sort of metallic mirror-like mountain range that seems to be like jagged metal mirror-like rock.
I think during that conversation with Roostaban, Del's been fidgeting even more, and they just kind of pipe up saying, it's like, I do not feel good about leaving the young by themselves. Not with this, and just kind of looks up at the sky, indicating the storm.
You want to go to the tree and just make sure they get through the storm?
Dell kind of nods. I want that, yes.
Are you worried about the young Dell?
I'm gonna do this with a long pause and I just kind of nod as well. I was like, I think I am.
Samira, what do you think?
Maybe we can pick up some traces of what happened to Sparks if we go to the tree ourselves. Maybe something fell to the ground. Maybe he left a message. I don't really know, quite frankly, but last seen, it's been scoped out. We know things are not exactly left as they were. The big one's not there. Dell is worried about the young ones, quite frankly. Probably best to go there first.
Agreed. Let's get everything together, and especially if this protection with the dome is going to be falling down soon, it's best that we start making a move as well.
Yeah. I think as they're packing up, Dell has their swords ready. And just a question, has it been 28 hours since I used that cipher? That's probably still going.
What is it?
Like,
what does it
do? The density nodule, the one that adds 2 damage to my
Oh,
yeah, it lasts for 28 hours, so a day and a bit.
Probably not. It would last until like this evening then.
This evening? Okay.
Yeah, so you've definitely still got that. My God, I forgot about that. It's so dangerous. Yeah, so what are you all doing?
Breaking down camp and just moving towards the tree.
Cool. So you all break down camp. As soon as you close this pyramid up, you're able to just push its sides back into its original shape and pack it. The force field comes down. And you all proceed in the direction of this tree, led by Rustaban. And will the three of you roll me level 2 intellect tasks? Nice.
Just. Oh god.
So, while keeping a lookout for any dangers in the forest as you proceed towards this tree, Zamira, are there any specific things you might want to do with this minor effect that you got?
I think she'd be looking for literally any evidence of like electric activity, like because sparks.
Oh, yeah.
Trails or things like that, broken branches, evidence of a larger creature maybe going through, again with scorch marks. She's looking for sparks destruction, essentially.
Excuse me. You aren't able to see anything in terms of signs of sparks. It doesn't look like he's been through the forest in particular, or if he has, by some miracle, he's been doing so quietly and non-destructively.
Because that's canon.
Right, yeah. And so as you approach the tree, you've been kind of cautious, keeping an eye out. And every now and then you see motion kind of through the brush around you. All three of you see this. And it seems whatever it is seems to be following you, and there seem to be a lot of them. But you do reach the tree that Respawn brings it to, and just looks up. Again, it's one of these massive, essentially kind of redwoods that just towers high above you.
And what's the storm doing at this point, status-wise?
It is still dark. It is picking up, and there is a soft rainfall. Every now and then you hear that same crash of thunder. If you'd like to try and get a bearing for where the storm is coming from, you can roll a level 3 intellect task.
Okay.
Does it feel particularly cold or anything that like would be uncomfortable for any of us, especially I guess Zamira in this case and Jarrett, since they're the more human of us? That's
For a
more. I guess
resident
that's a weird way of
human.
asking it.
It is certainly, there is a it's that kind of like misty rain because it's so windy. It is whipping up, and it's pretty uncomfortable. It is damp. It's not necessarily cold. It's a very like kind of more like a tropical storm. Zamira, you're not sure. You just know that there is a storm in the vicinity, and all of you would be able to tell just from your general knowledge, like, seems like a pretty big one.
I'd like to take off my cloak and give it to Zamira.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask, because so GM, so would I notice if Zamira in particular, because I'm probably used to some of this as well, but I'm probably cold as well. Is Zamira doing well in the like
That's up
really
to Zamira, yeah.
Would that
She's fine with colder temperatures, surprisingly.
okay? Just double checking.
Still feels this plonk of like a big cloak over her shoulders.
Wait, how big is that? Because that might just eat her right up.
I think it's definitely like a full body thing for Zamira. It's like almost a half cape.
So it's like a little kid trying on daddy's suit mode.
Yeah, it's heavier than it looks, but it is very snug.
Beatrice would probably also like come close to you and say, if the weather or anything gets too extreme, let me know. I think I have something that can help take care of you a little bit more.
All right, thank you.
If you feel uncomfortable.
I appreciate it, really. But maybe we should try and hunker down before the storm kicks in.
So, as you are all standing at the base of this tree, you can hear something crying out above, and then crying out much louder, and then you hear quiet.
Dell's gonna look to the group, is like, I will be back. Looks to Roosterbar, is like, take care of them. And Dell's gonna start parkouring up this tree.
Roll level 4 speed for me.
Full speed, okay. I've got balancing and other stuff as well. And
Cool,
jumping. Yeah. Count those two?
Are you trained in both of those separately? Balance?
I'm trained in both of those separately, yeah. Balance and jumping.
Okay, yeah. So it knocks it down to a 1. Or a 2,
What?
I mean.
2. Yeah. Hey, yeehaw!
Nice. Is there a specific minor effect that you want as you climb up this tree?
I just want to get up there quick.
Quick?
Like,
Yeah, you are.
quickly.
You're able to get to the top of it fairly fast, but it is still a massive tree. And just as you get up there, you're able to see rustling kind of in the leaves around you on other trees, like things disappearing into the darker parts of the forest. And there is nothing in this nest.
No! Swear to God, Jab. Can I see any trace of like a struggle or any creatures like?
I mean, I don't want to get blue, but it doesn't seem like it was polite. It doesn't seem like nice things happened here.
No.
Del,
I'm
as you
so
get to the top of this tree and see all of this, down at the bottom of the tree, Zamira and Beatrice, you just hear scrip, 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 as 2 or 3 of these little squirrel things come into your periphery. Scrip.
Can we pop the dome?
Yeah. You set down the pyramid. When Dio set it up, she was able to do it relatively quickly with just some few motions. Roll a level 3 intellect task.
Okay.
Beatrice,
help
you
her
can
at
do
all
this.
with that?
Yes, you can do this as well.
Since I'm
and it'll be level
specialized in
2.
understanding
No,
Numenera
it'll
as
be level
well.
1 for you. Go for it.
Yeah. Let's yeah, that sounds good to me. Oh, what? Yeah, you're cute. Stop.
You're able to you start like fidgeting with it as they start getting a little closer, and more of them are coming out of the woods, and it boom, and it goes through part of the tree, but it doesn't like affect it or anything. But 4 of these little creatures are within the space that it creates. Boom, and Roostaban looks out at them and goes, "Oh, well, this is gonna be bad." And will the 2 of you roll initiative? It is
Okay.
a level 2 speed task.
I always forget where initiative is on this.
Dell, while they are doing that, what does Dell do at the top of this tree?
I think they'll have a quick little scan around just to see if they can hear any sign of like one still struggling or whatnot, and if there's nothing, then I'll just kind of head back down.
Roll a um, roll a level 2 intellect task for me.
Okay. 2. Spending effort. Yay.
Nice. You off kind of like toward to the north, you can hear the sound of like something moving, and you look, and in a tree, kind of like hanging onto a branch, you can see one of these baby rascars with just like its arms around a branch and its little feet dangling.
Jeff, I did a speed task. Was mine? Did you happen to see the result?
Beatrice, as these 4 horrible little squirrel things just kind of like waddle up closer to you, what would you like to do?
Yep, I don't trust that onslaught force rate.
Nice. Four. So these your force ray shoots out and kind of cuts a swath through the ground beside them, and they like jump. They both jump like away from it, and they like let out these little screams. And the 2 that jump, their bodies kind of wave down this like mouth that bisects them, and you see teeth come out, but then it sort of goes back into them, and they sort of like bristle. At which point, Roostaban is going to make an attack against them. He is so the way kind of like NPC v NPC works in Numenera and Cypher is that it's kind of just based on level. The higher level wins, and Roostaban is higher than level 2. So he shoots out an attack, and you see these blades whip out, and just cuts one in half, and it falls down dead. And there are 3 left. Dell, up at the top of the tree. I guess actually, so it should be. Which of these is the 1 your actual roll?
No, I use my reroll.
Oh, I see. Perfect.
Okay.
Then in that case, it is your turn. What are you doing? You have the baby Raskar kind of just trying to like get a grip back onto this branch that's like 1 tree away.
I'm gonna like ninja run over to this Raskar.
Nice.
And I'm gonna try and coax it first. If it doesn't go for it, I'm gonna just scoop it up in my metal arm so it can bite it all at once.
Nice. So you're able to sort of hop over to this branch, and you're not gonna. You don't really wouldn't necessarily try to coax it. It literally can't get up to the thing that it is, so it wouldn't be able to come to you. So you just scoop it up into your arm, and it kind of just, and it's got like some minor damage to it. You can see that it has some wounds in it, some like bite marks, and it just kind of.
Yeah. If I can use fleet of foot to start heading down the tree, unless I hear another one, but I doubt it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start moving down. You get about halfway down this tree to the surface, and you can see the sort of battle happening. And these three creatures move in. Zamira, make a level 2 speed defense. Nice. One of them runs up, hops, kicks off the other one, and then just in midair opens up its whole like body mouth and tries to like take a bite at you, but you sidestep. The other one, sorry, got tangled up in a cord. The other one goes towards Beatrice, and it sort of just runs up and takes like with its regular mouth, its regular like squirrel mouth, tries to take a bite at you. Roll a level 2 speed defense test.
I'm gonna put effort into that.
Okay.
Level 2, right?
Mm-hmm. And if you put effort, it knocks it down to 1. Nice. You sort of take a step back as it tries to get you. But as it was running up, the other one, the third one, runs and jumps off of it and does this same kind of flying bite move towards you. So roll one more speed defense at level 2. Nice. What minor effect would you like to take for your defense
Have
roll?
it crash into the tree and like get disoriented.
Yeah,
Like
you sort of like
and it
and it sort of like and it basically like digs its weird body teeth into this tree trunk and kind of gets stuck there a bit, and it's just kind of like. Zamira, it is your turn. What would you like to do?
So 2 of them are still hungry, right?
3 of them are attacking.
3 of them.
Yeah, 2 of them are still hungry, and the third one is like stuck on a
eating
tree.
wood.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do is create deadly poison, but have it so it's picking up one of the bits of meat from the satchel.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And just kind of tossing it at the 2. And poison them. I mean.
Yeah, perfect. You toss it, and it lands. How does deadly poison work?
That is what I'm about to get over to.
Cool. Nice.
Inflicts 5 points.
Yeah, the meat lands, and the 2 that aren't stuck to a tree do that same like horrifying just like just descend upon it, and they eat it up, and they stop, and they kind of like bristle at you, and then they just go, and they both just drop dead. Right now, there's the one stuck in the tree, and as you were watching all this, you look up, and around the edge of camp, there are just like a ton of these things, just like Who was first? Beatrice, it is your turn.
Okay, so I can tell that there's a lot of these, correct?
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have, because with the experience that Scrat gave me, I moved up to tier 2,
Nice.
which means I picked adaptation. It's
Okay.
first, I will post that in the chat. I believe it's posted now. The first thing it says, you adapt to a hostile environment for 28 hours. As a result, you can breathe safely, temperature. It's mostly like environmental effects, but I'm curious, does that extend to like, for an area like a forest, would I be able to gain any sort of like climbing implements through my body in order to actually get out of somewhere safely? Because would that like, is it too much stretching that to say I'm adapting to a hostile environment by having a climbing mechanism of some kind?
Maximum cost of 10 points. Speaking concussion damage you sustain engine round, for example. This is more like if you can't breathe or you're somewhere that's so hot that you're taking like heat damage every round or cold damage every round.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I had to try. I had to ask just in case, because that could have helped me and Zamira, but I think I'm just going to take care of the immediate threat, which is Force Ray, the one stuck in the tree, because I imagine it's easier to hit the thing that's literally stuck in a tree.
Yeah, it is a level 1. It is hindered by 1 while it is stuck in this tree. There it is. Yeah, that does it. Yeah, you essentially, as a force ray, you sort of just smash it against the tree that it's stuck in. As Del descends from the tree and lands with this baby Raskar in their arm, and we drop out of initiative.
It just kind of hugs this baby Raskar, and I think I've got the sword in the other hand. And I'm just looking at it. I think I'm just like, you can just hear the strains down from Del, and you just think they're just quietly shushing it. It sounds a little weird and metallic, but
Zamira
looks around. Yeah, sorry, you go.
Zamira would go over and like the 2 dead poison squirrels. She'd like chuck far away to make sure.
As soon as you do that,
wait. Could I like chuck them into their companions?
Yeah, you chuck them out into the forest, and you see just this kind of all of them that were gathered there. This wave of them just kind of and just disappear into that area. But you suspect you may not have a lot of time. The thunder again, and then the force field. And as the rain begins to get heavier, and it gets darker and darker in this forest, that darkness becomes the darkness of a fish's belly. And we are watching Sparks sort of just power himself up with this homemade fish stomach battery, which should be charged by now.
Can Sparks be lecturing Dio at the same time?
Uh-huh.
You see, the stomach is made of hydrochloric acid, and it's created by pumping hydrogen through the cell membranes into the chloride cells to create that hydrochloric acid. So essentially, what we're doing right now is slowly swapping out oxygen for chloride, which is why your Numenera now looks really gunky, and my knife looks really, really nice. But because you need 2 oxygens for every hydrogen, it means that hydrogen is also created. Do you have a gas mask?
I'm wearing a gas mask, yes.
Good, you'll be alright then. That is a gas mask. Good!
Excellent.
Do you have an oxygen supply?
I don't think so.
Do you breathe oxygen?
Yes.
Oh. It could get real spicy in here in a minute.
Now, when you say spicy, what do you mean exactly?
Well, for the eel, it will be definitely be experiencing hyperchlorohydria, which means it's got low stomach acid in the stomach, which means it will have to digest things a little bit harder. Most of the small intestine will pick up the work of the stomach. Bone density might go down a little bit, but it shouldn't die. For us, we're slowly running out of oxygen as the chloride is replaced for oxygen. I'm getting lots of energy, and if I set alight the impure water that we're creating by this process, this chamber's likely to explode really, really badly.
We are in the chamber.
Yes. Oh, don't lean on the walls. They're probably very chloridic. It'll ruin your clothes.
So you want to blow up this whole room, and that is how you are going to save us?
Yes. Get on Batty's back.
That is, I don't want to do that.
All right then. Have fun getting out. And he's gonna start getting Batty's back.
And Tia scrambles up at Batty's back, and Batty sort of stands up.
All right, Batty. Hover up near that hole.
It starts to sort of like fly towards it a little bit, but it has that wounded wing, and it sort of falls, and it just stands on its legs.
And I would like to shock the water, please, with my extra battery power.
No. Go for it. You set alight this explosion. Does it explode immediately?
Well, essentially, it depends on how much energy has passed, but with enough time, have you heard of the hydrogen bomb?
Not a lot of time has passed, thank goodness.
So maybe just downscaled then.
Yeah, just a downscaled hydrogen bomb. The things you give me to work with. How do you tell me what happens for this one?
I think the stomach explodes, Jeff.
And you're in it.
Good.
Okay.
Here's your lesson.
This whole fish erupts, and it is a giant fish. We see the people of Eskaska. They are no longer out on the water surface. It's actually very choppy. This huge storm is raging directly above them. Lightning is pounding the lake and the ground. You didn't see it as you were coming in, but standing over this sort of floating, not quite a city, but a pretty large town, are three stone colossi. And they are humanoid with 2 arms, 2 legs, and they are holding up what seems to be a crown between the 3 of them. The crown is also made of stone. And water is running down them. It is pouring rain. And then we just see a massive torrent of water. What seems to be almost half the lake just rising up through the sky. And we see Sparks, Dio, and Batty just flying out of it, just missiles burning.
I think that Batty may be dead.
Batty's pretty much dead. You and Dio.
I was essentially using them as a meat shield. That's why I
you and Dio both take 10 damage as you fly through the sky.
Yeah, okay, I can manage that. That makes me I'm no longer hale, I'm now impaired. Small price to pay.
And as you fly through the sky, half of Eskaska has been blown away. It is just sort of the lake itself, this explosion beneath it, has ruptured and just one of the colossi begins to crumble in on itself. And you are flying through the air. Dio is near you. She is clearly unconscious.
Hee.
Never leaving you alone again.
What
are you doing?
Sparks isn't feeling great, so he'll sit up and look. Are they dead?
So the two of you are still flying through the air. You've been launched over the lake, just sort of like missiles from this incredible explosion.
Separate from Batty or avec Batty?
In the same direction. There's just a burning husk sort of following you through the air. And all you can see of Dio is that she is unconscious and sort of just hanging through the air.
And Batty's behind us.
Yeah.
Can I please grab Dio and just sort of hold them in front of me?
Yep. You grab Dio and you hold Dio in front of you, and you are beginning to fall yet again. And as you are falling, you see Dio's eyes open a little bit, and then her eyes open all the way, and she just sees you with your big, huge grin.
We're out!
Oh no! And she looks around, notices that she's literally in the sky. She says, "I am pretty sure you're some kind of demon." And she reaches into another pocket, and she says, "All right, this is gonna hurt." And she essentially stabs something into you, and then stabs something into herself. You both take 1 point of damage. And then
Ow! What's that?
your bodies begin to grow. Just exponentially,
Exponentially.
Not exponentially, incorrect. Uniformly. Like,
Okay.
essentially, yeah. And you grow, and it's painful. It is essentially ripping your whole body apart as you begin to come down through these storm clouds that you were launched into. Lightning is pounding the ground all around you, and you land into what is essentially kind of just tepid grassland, and you make this huge crater. You both slide across this ground.
Sparks did not stop holding them in front of him.
Yeah, you're still like attached to her, and you land, and she's laying there, and she just passes out again, and you are now roughly 5 times the size you'd normally be, as is Dio.
5 times the size, 5 foot, 25 feet. I'm as tall as a building!
Pretty much. And we see a massive Sparks standing on this plane over an unconscious massive Dio, and over Eskaska, the storm parts and fades away as chunks of giant fish begin to rain down on this lake town, splattering against the colossi, one of which has just fallen completely into the sea. The town basically almost completely destroyed. And the sun comes out onto a nice lavender day. We cut back to Porto and Queer. I am going to run to the restroom real quick. I'll be right back.
Quick, while the DM's gone, let's make a run for it.
Right? Get out of here!
What is?
The fuck turns up. Can we find him? Can we just be like, oh, there he is?
Well, he's 25 feet tall. He might leave a mark in the distance.
Yeah.
You know, landmark, chapel, steeple.
Well, yeah.
You know?
The big question on Sparks' mind now is toward the town or away from the
Is
town.
this baby not going to eat us? Like that? That's all of her concerns.
There's
this.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but we have a
Not
couple of
letting-
non-poison dead squirrel mouth thingies. Those are fresh kills.
Yeah.
I've provided this whole town with cooked fish.
That is not there anymore.
That was probably
Half
a
of
god
it's there.
to them.
He said a fair amount of the town is gone. I don't think they're going to be too happy about a barbecue right
Yeah, I
now.
think one of their monuments is toppled over into their probably sacred lake.
Oh,
Look, it could be worse. It could have been the last episode of Game of Thrones.
No spoilers.
I don't even watch Game of Thrones, and I have been thankful to avoid how bad it is. But I mean, here's the thing: you just straight up went Greenpeace, like Nazca lines ruining level of Greenpeace desecration. That's what you almost single-handedly did.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He's just fallen out of the sky, 25 feet big, survived, and the storm just finished.
God.
The storm just finished. So guess what? Anyone who's left is going to see this like gargantuan sparks.
Yeah, how long does that last?
Oh dear God. Yeah.
We'll find out.
Mm.
Del right now is just that image of that samurai with the cat and just like the sword out, like no one's.
Yes. Samira would be like taking a stick and picking up one of the carcasses and like, feed it from the stick.
Welcome back, Jeff.
We've taken one of the carcasses that aren't poisoned of these squirrel things and just like feeding it to my new Raskar.
Yeah, I'm using a stick to keep my distance, but I've stabbed the half body of one and sort of not spoon feeding, stick feeding.
Stick feeding. Del will take it. Del will take it.
Samira, I could handle that as well. And just to see her just start lifting up the other corpse and moving it.
That's right.
This is a very morbid take on the sword in the stone scene. It's just a monstrous
Carcasses.
squirrel body floating through the air, going towards the Raskar's mouth.
So as you all feed this baby Raskar, you
Maybe moving as we do this.
sure, yeah, you can collect the pyramid and continue moving. But where are you going? Your original destination was this tree, and now you're here.
Oh, question. Could we feel the explosion?
Absolutely. You hear
That seems like fun.
Okay, yeah.
incredibly massive
Okay.
explosion, and it
Yeah.
shakes your feet. And very shortly after, the clouds kind of part and it gets a little brighter. You can't really see the clouds beyond the canopy, but you notice that it gets much brighter and the storm goes away. All three of you, roll me a level 3 speed task.
Does it count for speed defense or?
Sure.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm putting effort into this one.
All three of you look up, noticing that suddenly the sun has come back, the wind has stopped, the rain has stopped, and then you all three scatter in separate directions as large chunks of fish everywhere.
Can I pick up a piece and give it to the Raskar?
And then you get another splash of rain, but the water just seems kind of like it's not rain, it's like lake
Sludge.
water. Yeah, sludge and lake water. And this whole the forest around you seems sort of peppered with all of this.
Samira just starts rubbing her temples.
And out of the forest all around you, you see just hundreds of these squirrel things just descend and just start devouring all of this fish everywhere.
Okay. $10 says Sparks is written all over this one.
We should hurry and just look at the squirrels. They will
Yes.
not be distracted for long.
Yes, and I walk towards the explosion.
Yeah. Oh.
You start heading north through Porto and Quare in the direction of where you heard and felt this explosion from. We lost that.
Why are you face palming?
I'm just realizing more and more things. I've just acid cleaned my dagger, so it probably looks like Damascus steel as well, which also helps with the whole, godlike.
You progress through the forest, and you come to this area that is a little more sunken. The ground is kind of sludge. It's still in the middle of the forest, and Beatrice, roll me a level 2 speed defense.
I hope if I fail this, it's not fish.
It's more fish. You're all attacked by fish. No, we only blew up one Leviathan.
One Leviathan.
This little ball, this kind of fist-sized ball actually, falls and lands on your shoulder. And it is kind of spiky, has kind of a sludge to it, and it just adheres itself to your shoulder.
Do I have any idea what this is?
You can tell that it's organic plant material. Seems kind of like a spiky burr.
I'm gonna try and hedge magic it to just float it off of my shoulder.
Make a level 2 intellect task. The hedge magic pulls at it, but it just stays stuck to you. It's kind of heavy. You are unable to get it off of you, and now your hands are stuck to it.
Del,
Okay, that's not good.
Del, please.
Are we still in the forest, or were we cleared out of it?
Yeah, you're still in the forest.
And what color is this bear?
Red.
Great. Can I get the tip of my sword and just tap it to see if it sticks to metal?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you place your sword on it, and when you go to pull away, you kind of bring Beatrice with you a bit. Zamira,
Yeah,
roll me a level 2 speed test.
great.
You should start running.
You're right. Could I use my fleet of foot for this?
No, that's not like
I know. I don't want a sticky burr. Oh!
Yay!
Is there a specific minor effect you'd like to use?
Okay, yeah, could we have it so it doesn't fall on me, but maybe it falls on like a nearby stick, so I have one attached to the end of a stick?
Sure, yeah. You see one of these things fall again, and it's kind of stuck to like a medium-sized branch.
Okay, I'm gonna pick up that branch and have an impromptu sticky weapon.
So you have one of these things on a stick. All three of you roll me a level 3 intellect test.
This doesn't have anything to do with understanding Numenera, does it, by any chance?
Nope. So as the three of you are kind of dealing with this, you notice that the sort of sludge that you've been walking into a bit, not very far into, there's a lot of stuff in it. Mostly bones.
Of course there is.
And these burrs. And as you look up above you, you see that the kind of like different trees in this area, instead of leaves, they all have these burrs. And you hear, and you look over as another one falls, and it sort of just eases into the sludge there. The material on the ground seems to be this same sort of adhesive component that is now affixed to Beatrice and Dell's sword and Zamira's stick. And you see kind of a medium-sized bird flying through, and it gets hit on a wing and then falls, and it's sort of stuck in this sludge, and it can't seem to pull itself out.
Can I help it?
You would have to walk into this sludge of burrs to get to it.
Well, I don't think better not. Is it like as far as the eye can see, the sludge, or?
It's a very large kind of expanse, and the trees are, the trunks of the trees are like growing up out of it. Essentially, it's like the forest floor of this area is this weird mix of these like burrs and this sticky adhesive and bones.
Spoke to the group. It's like, we should not dawdle.
We should also. Can we skirt around it? I'm wondering.
Yeah, is it big enough? Is it small enough to skirt around?
Yeah, you from where you are, you can't necessarily just like walk around it, but you can change your route and skirt around the edge. You can tell where it begins and ends, essentially.
Yeah. Could I try and yank my sword back at least? Like, see if like a force, like strength will get.
Yeah.
I just look at Beach like, I am sorry, and
give me a level 3 might test.
Okay.
While that's happening, I'm just gonna like call out to Zamira. Zamira, could you come here for a moment?
I'm not going to touch that thing.
No,
She's
I'm
like,
not asking you to touch this. Just
Nope.
touch this shard, this crystal
Sure.
shard real quick. Yes. I
Okay.
promise.
So she'll tap it with her hand.
I'm going to use adaptation and use it on myself and Zamira, where we adapt to a hostile environment for 28 hours. Because I have 2 edge and intellect, it doesn't cost anything for me, and I will spend 2 to apply it to Zamira as well. So her touching the crystal, you just see some of the like the glow, the aura just sort of comes off, it stretches over your hand, and it creates like a nice little like almost floating aura of crystal shards that are like kind of pinkish black to them to help protect you from the environmental effects. I don't know if this will do anything to this, but Beatrice is just like, I'm just so done with this. I'm going to take whatever precaution I can, that I'm already screwed with this. Let's
Okay.
make sure Zamira is not going to be ruined by any of this.
Um,
Oh my god, she's such a sight right now.
yeah, I'm not sure what that would do in this situation.
I don't think it does anything. It's more Beatrice is just like, I'm so done.
Yeah,
This
I want to help.
stuff.
So Zamira's
Okay.
got the big oversized cape. She's holding a stick with a red pokey thing at the other end. And there are
Big as a
crystals.
stick. You'll get under it.
She looks like some sort of demented wizard now.
Yeah.
Del, you pull at this thing, and it sort of just pulls Beatrice along again. However, Beatrice, I will remind you that you can phase through matter.
Yeah, Beatrice is just done. Forgot about that. She's gonna then phase through it as well. And that's this. I don't think she's actually used this before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey.
yeah. That ghost thing they keep talking about. Yeah, the crystals just go pure white and she just fades out partially.
And
Like
you see
gone.
it sort of just fall through her, bloop, and then roll onto the ground.
Oh, I don't like doing that.
And so the three of you are now free to sort of skirt around the edge of this place. And your journey takes you deeper into the forest for a bit and then back around. And you come out finally into the bright kind of lavender day, looking out onto this expanse of red plains, and there in the distance you can see a sort of just disrupted lake. Like there are huge massive like pools of water all around it. It seems like it's more than one lake. Part of it it's like clearly lower than it used to be very recently. There's like two colossi sort of holding up this crown. One's lost an arm. There's another one that's in pieces around it. There's wreckage of a town at the base of it, and standing between you and this town, a trench sort of dug through this red grass plain, primary red grass plain, is a gigantic Sparks standing over an unconscious gigantic Dio, and there are fish pieces everywhere.
Zamira's gonna see this and like raise up the stick with the pointy sticky thing. I am going to kill him. And she's like gonna like try and control herself and like take maybe a couple steps forward, but you can see she's like she's shaking it.
And Sparks, as you stand up, you notice that the effect of this Numenera on you is starting to diminish. You've dropped maybe a foot from when you first used it, and Dio is shrinking at your feet as well. But you see your companions sort of come out of this tree line, not too far from where you are.
Oh no! Have they seen me?
100% you're massive in an open field.
Sparks is gonna do the teenage cleanup. Which is, he's gonna use push to catapult Batty into the nearest pool of water. look at Dio just like do they have a hood or something? He'll just pull that over their face. That'll do.
They totally do. Yeah, you just reach down and pull this hood over Dia's face. This whole time, of course, however, you are massive, so all of your emotions are pretty obvious.
Then
but
stands up like.
Roll me the roll me just a flat d20, please. And then will the other three of you roll me a d20 as well? If you have any training in perception to see things, it'll give you +3 to the roll. Jesus.
Does insight count then?
Yeah.
Okay, so
22.
I mean, technically I'm impaired, so that 6 would only be a 3.
so that's
Oh,
a
me
19
too.
for Zamira.
Oh, okay.
Listen, I'm taking care of baby Razgar right now. I have a lot on my mind.
Yeah. So with Sparks impaired, Del, you see this as well. But you all just notice this you see this giant doing all this, and you see behind it just this giant bat body just fly off in an arc behind it and then splash into what's left of the lake.
You see Dell's lights flicker like a multitude of colors, as if they don't know how to feel, and they actually like take a step back and just cover a baby's eyes.
Sparks is thinking fast. He's going to run towards them.
Oh God. So you all watch as this giant Sparks just begins to run towards you.
Oh,
And
the
then-
sword drawn.
Booming voice, but still Sparks' voice.
Thank goodness you're here!
And this voice just echoes across the place.
I just physically felt my fight or flight response kick in.
I think just exactly that, just from like the sound of that alone, pure instinct of fear, Zamira's tossing this stick pokey thing right at Sparks' forehead.
Yeah, I think Dell has taken up like in front of everybody with a sword drawn.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that also might have startled Beatrice to fire a force ring. Giant booming creature.
What was that?
Del and Beatrice, roll me flat d20s, and you can use whatever abilities you have to ease it by 3 or hinder it by 3.
What's the ability in? I don't think I'm.
Oh, not Del. I'm sorry. Beatrice and Sparks. I'm sorry.
Oh, what speed defense is this or?
Yeah, essentially it's PvP, so you both it's a contested roll. If Beatrice gets higher, her force ray hits you. If you get higher, it doesn't, essentially.
So is it just a D20 roll or is it an
Mhm.
intellect roll? Oh, it's just a D20 roll. Okay.
Yeah, and you can use any of your training or effort or whatever to give it +3, if you like.
I mean, I will, even though I don't think this is actually going to get me anywhere, I will put in 1 level of effort. I don't think this will get me any. Oh, never mind.
Oh, shit. Well, you
dang.
just typed 20.
Yeah.
You kind of
Yep.
typed
Dang it!
D20.
I was so sad. I wanted that to work, and it doesn't work by just 1.
Well,
I think that's the physical depiction of our mental state right now. Like, please just be 20.
Sparks just kind of, I think Zamira's pokey stick connects to his giant foot, at which point he lifts up his foot, and then a ray of force just goes right under it. Sparks, you begin to descend another foot, and you all see Dio kind of shrinking a little bit inside of the giant crater that they're in.
Batty went wild! He was destroying the town and then blew up!
I think Del just kind
It's really weird!
of like that does not explain this, and just kind of with the sword just dresses Sparks up and down.
This was Dio's doing! They made me big to fight Batty!
I'm calling bullshit.
I am also doing this. The only explanation for this level of absurdity at this point is you. I don't even care if Dio did do something in any of this. I am blaming you for this.
And you won't believe it! There was a fish market
don't.
in the town,
You're right.
which
Yep.
Batty blew up!
Don't believe you. You're right. I don't believe you.
I don't believe you either.
Del looks to Zamira and is like, I was feeling guilty. That has
No.
eased somewhat.
Good. You should never feel guilty. Not about. No.
I will check on Dio.
Please do.
Yeah, Del's gonna mosey their way over to Dio.
Dio's giant. Dio's much bigger than you. Holy shit. So laying down in this like massive crater, you essentially would have to slide down to them a little bit, and then laying down, their body is still larger than you. And you can tell very easily that they're breathing because of the size. But they are unconscious.
They like face down in this dirt.
No, the hood has been pulled up to cover their face. But you notice a breath mask on them.
Okay, I would like. Can I try and take the hood off of them just so I can see how banged up they are?
You walk around and like pulling like a massive curtain. Essentially, you move this.
Can the rest cup be like almost like wrapped around me as I use both hands?
It's just it's hanging onto you. It's climbed up onto your shoulder, and you pull down this hood, and Tia's just beat the shit. Like part of her face has been like burned, like through the hair, so part of her hair is missing, and her like right eyebrow, and she's just like bruised and beaten up, like she's been through an explosion.
I just kind of, if anyone looking over just sees this crater, they just see Del's head just go boop, pop up. Just like, like, Zamira, we may need your abilities. Dio is quite hurt.
All right.
Looks like an explosion occurred.
Of course.
I mean, I'm quite hurt too!
No.
You can tell that Sparks is just about as damaged as Dio.
She just narrows her eyes and like is shaking her finger like a cranky old lady at this point as she's making her way over to where Del is.
Just this fucking giant. Oh man, okay.
Chris is just aiming another force array at him if he keeps talking.
Zamira, you come up and I assume administer your healing.
Is it one of those things where the bigger they are, the more it takes, or do their stats kind of?
You are not sure.
Not sure.
Yeah.
All right, she'll do her laying of the hands in hopes to at least just stabilize Dio. She's not looking for major healing. She's looking to don't die. It's more the way she's handling this one. So that is just the healing touch. So that's just an automatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a point spend, but you may have enough to.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember. It's 1d6 of points to their stat pool. So I'll roll the d6. Oh, great. She gets 2 points.
Yeah, you see, sure enough, the healing that would normally happen to a regular-sized body occurs, essentially, it as much as you would expect it to. And some of the damage sort of fades away. Some of the smoke from her wounds clears away. And At this point, you hear a very, very loud crumbling and then a very loud splash as more of one of the colossi pieces just falls into the lake behind you.
Sparks does not want to be around when Dio gets up.
Oh! I'd better go and check on the villagers!
And I'd like to Junkrat away.
No.
You're gonna kill us!
Wait, question. This is a ridiculous question, I realize ahead of time, but does Sparks have any like small objects or other things like on belts in terms of the things that he wears?
I would imagine.
I'm using hedge magic to start making those float up and start making him like get stuck up in the air. Like someone's like imagine like, someone's pulling up here.
Copious amounts of glow sticks.
Yeah, all of his glow sticks just start like imagine like kind of the bully with like underwear being pulled kind of effect, but just with the glow sticks just trying to make those just lift up while he's trying to get away.
A weight limit to what hedge magic can do?
It doesn't technically say. It just says small objects. Like I can perform small tricks, like make small objects float through the air.
Yeah,
that's all it says. It doesn't say a weight limit
anymore. Yeah, they are no longer they're all bigger than you all are as people.
I'm so mad.
Giant glow sticks. Crack one of those bad boys.
Crack that bad boy. Give us a new son.
Oh, I tried.
I will say that Sparks is smart enough to know that if he Junkrats right now, he will blow the party up.
Bold of you to assume he cares.
You do realize you're talking to Scrat right now, right?
That's why I'm asking.
I mean, would he be able to roughly calculate a safe distance, like fireworks, right? Like 20 yards?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the size that you are, you could, in a long distance move, run to where the town is. You could also short distance and then do the jump.
Well, I'll just go and check on the village in a minute, and I'm just gonna start running, and
Okay.
then the force attacks come. I will field your slings and arrows.
So you see Giant Sparks turn and start running, and you hear the and in the distance you just hear like, oh my god! You just hear like people screaming. You can hear the sounds of like the people of the Scott just screaming as this giant runs toward.
I'm just gonna fire a force ray for good measure.
Sparks, as you run, you begin to shrink more.
Hearing the screams, I think Sparks would assume that they're scared, so he'll entertain them to calm them down. Right as the force ray hits him, he'll take out some like glow stick poi and start doing poi. Because that's entertaining, right? That won't terrify anyone.
Swinging around these two giant sons.
Yeah, you see this massive. Oh man, this massive man just start doing poi near the edge of a city that is just screaming as parts of these colossi fall. What are the rest of you doing?
Reconsidering our lives.
At him.
Keeping an eye on Dio.
How much damage does the force ray do?
4.
4. Oh yeah, I can take that for the time being. I can't take many more of them, but I can take it.
Dio slowly kind of like you hear them cough and this rumble kind of goes up. They've been shrinking at the same speed that Sparks is. And eventually their eyes open and they look around and her giant head turns and sees Dell. She says, "Your friend is a real bastard." Oh.
Kel just nods. You are correct.
We're also debating the whole, friend part, considering.
She nods and she sits up. Oh, And she looks over and she sees Sparks doing glow stick boy. And she looks it up and down at all of you. She says, has he blown anything else up?
So he did blow the place up.
I don't know that he meant to blow up everything. We were eaten by a giant fish. I think he was just trying to get himself out of it.
Samira's gonna look at Del. Now you see what Beatrice and I meant. It's not your fault. And she's like pointing to Dio's like exhibit A.
Yeah.
Pointing to giant
just
demon
kinda
in the background, just
Del just nods and just tilts her head. It's like, I assume that the creature that was with him is dead.
I am fairly certain that a lot of things are dead. And she starts to stand up. She stretches, and she can just hear all the screaming from the town. And she looks over at Spark and she says, okay. And they both kind of like shrink a little bit. And she says, I have one last trick up my sleeve.
How long does this, and she's gonna motion to the size factor, how long does this last?
She like kneels down. Says, what?
How long do you stay bigger?
Not much longer.
Oh, thank God.
Well, actually, she looks at her size and looks at Christy. I'm not actually sure how long I've been out, but I can't imagine we have much longer. I'm worried though, just in general, actually, after everything that I've seen.
There's a support group for that.
Hi, my name's Dio.
We've been traumatized by
I got
Spark.
blown up by Sparks. She looks at Sparks. She says, okay, whew, wish me luck. And she reaches into one of her pockets and she puts on this large glove. Well, large because she's giant. She puts on a glove.
Wait, is she gonna Thanos him?
Please.
No, she looks at him. She says, "Sparks," and her voice just.
Yes!
And she charges you. She just full runs and reaches out with her hand. Make a level 4 speed defense task.
Oh, hecky.
I guess level 5 because you're impaired. She reaches forward, and so we see these two giants. One of them turns, and the other reaches forward and grabs him by the face. And this Numenera glove, and you see Sparks disappear. And in Dio's hand is an orb. And she says, okay. And she looks at it. And Sparks, you are now in what feels very similar to the red room, except it's not red. It's just a sort of white fog. And you are looking out through it, and you can see a giant Dio essentially holding you in this orb. And she says,
I do have an XP.
you are not coming out of this until you learn a few lessons. And she...
Oh, that's exactly the wrong words to use on Spark. Now I have to use the XP. Advantages malfunction. I'd like it to malfunction on her.
So...
Don't mother him!
From the user or one of their allies for a round or activate dramatic. So, Sparks, you kind of charge up and bristle like you do, and your lightning crackles throughout the whole orb and fills it. She says, "Don't you start!" And then you all see Dio, and the giant orb falls out of the sky and lands in the field. And Sparks, Dio is now standing next to you in the fog. I hate you. I hate you so
I don't
much.
much like you either.
Why are you like this?
What? Why are you like this?
You blew me up.
You were sneaking off on your own for some reason.
I brought you food and water and shelter. And then you attacked me on my way home.
Like someone trying to look trustworthy.
Yes.
Now I'm on to you.
On to me. You've been on to me the whole day.
Well, I have now. I saved you, remember?
You fed me to a fish.
I
Out
didn't
of the sky.
feed you to a fish. We both got fed by the fish, fed to the fish, and then I got you out. And I sacrificed my bat.
You did. You sacrificed the creature that had fealty to you.
I could have sacrificed you.
She looks out. You can see, like, out of this globe. She looks out to the town and she says, "You blew up a town, a lake. Look at it." And we see, like, part of the crown from the Colossus.
Well, yeah, that is very unfortunate, but I was just trying to entertain them and you went and put them in a marble. Or put me in a marble.
And now we're both in this marble.
Well, you did it.
And the three of you can't hear anything being said. You can just see, like, Dio's like, "Oh, no," as the marble kind of, like, begins to shrink as well. And then eventually it just, and now you can't really see it anymore from where you are as it kind of shrinks down into the grass.
Samira would walk over towards where she thinks the marble would be and pick it up and just kind of looking and watching. And she's just going to start hysterically laughing. Like, you broke her.
The rest of you see Zamira walk over and pick this up, and then you just hear this hysterical laughter like you have never heard from her.
The Beatrice, like, is she alright?
Del, let me explain another emotion to you. We might refer to this as a mood called at one's wit's end. It basically means when you go through enough stress, you just almost stop caring for a couple of minutes, maybe a week, maybe the rest of your life. She's been through quite a lot.
Is she going to be like this for the rest of her life?
Well, let's just assume for as long as Sparks is around. Let's go with that assumption, and then we'll work from there.
We should check on the town. And I just kind of gets this Rascar and just kind of, like, holds it up. And it just kind of like scritches the top of its head, and you can see the lights definitely turn like a darker blue. And just like, I am sorry. I think you are stuck with me.
And it's just kind of, like, sleepy looking.
No. Del will just kind of cradle it in one hand, in one arm.
Zamira, as you like are just losing your mind laughing at this marble, you get this small kind of vibration as out of your clothes, Yanshi kind of, like, shifts out onto your collarbone, and it's like,
Yanchi, did you see what he just did? And she'll hold a marble.
It makes like a small kind of like squeak sound that you haven't heard before.
Yep. All right. Let's go take care of another mess, Yanshi. And she'll like pocket the marble, like make sure it's tucked deep down and safe so nothing happens to it.
Mm-hmm.
And follow after Della and Beatrice.
Yeah. Are you two heading towards the town?
I know Del would be.
Yeah, was Beatrice able to see the marble that Zamira was at, or would Zamira have already pocketed it by the time Beatrice got there?
I assume you've probably, you see it.
If you want me to take a look at it at any time to see if I can get Dio out, let me know.
Actually, yes. If you can get Dio out, I've been in her shoes before, so she'll take the marble out and hand it over to Beatrice. Let's see if you can possibly get one of them out at least.
You look at it and you see Dio just laying into sparks, just like. If you want to examine it, it is a level 4 task that would be level 2 for you.
I can show you how to
All
make
right.
a shield.
Is that before or after the specialized in understanding Numenera?
After.
Okay, would the book about Numenera lower that one more level as well? Because I'm specialized in, because I have understanding, and then I have another baseline of Numenera, and then among my items I have a book about Numenera. I don't know whether that counts as an addition. That's why I'm asking.
I don't know that this book about Numenera would necessarily apply to this planet.
Okay.
You know?
Just curious. Yeah. I will also put in one bit of effort for that. So that only takes me 1 from my pool. So it was originally so it went to a 2, and then I'm putting in 1 bit of effort for an intellect task.
Okay.
Yep.
So you know that this ball works essentially. It is controlled by the glove that made it, which is now currently inside of it.
Okay, so knowing that, Beatrice, like probably Zamira and Del will be able to see like her focusing, like she's occasionally like doing like little markings along her crystals while she's like doing notes for herself, and then you just see a look of like, oh no, go across her face. She's like, well, we have good news and bad news. Good news, I know exactly how this works. The bad news is it works with the device that is currently in there that Dio has.
That is
Disturbing.
perplexing. That too.
Can they?
I could break it.
You know what? With how this day is gone. Actually, wait. Let's go talk to the people. Let's see who we need to apologize to for it, and at that moment, then we'll let Sparks and Dio out. Until that moment, let's keep them in there. That's my suggestion.
Has anyone from the town come out to investigate what's been going on with this crater? Or does anyone like come towards us? Or
No,
they
they
all
are
like
all
fled to their homes?
they are all currently trying to do whatever they can to rescue people and essentially put out fires and
Okay. Yeah, Del
Save
will
what
sheath
is
their
left
sword.
of the town.
Del will sheath their sword, and if they're gonna start heading to the town, and if they can help it anyway, like lift rubble off of people, anything they can.
Um, so as the three of you enter Eskaska, it is... Oh man. I didn't actually even think about this. Yeah, actually, no, the whole town is destroyed. It's a floating town. So all of it would have sunk down very dramatically. So essentially, it would have all collapsed. So you would, as you walk, it's not like a crater where you just like suddenly just like fall, but it's a slow slope down into what is essentially the lake bed. Very, 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 very deep, until you get to the new waterfront. And the lake is very, very clearly much, much lower. And then there is maybe like a ways of still deep water to where the town has just kind of been destroyed. Most of it is sinking into it. There's a few places floating, and one like and one of the colossi has fallen, and the other two seem to be crumbling. And from where you are, you can see people for the most part. They're just very far away, but there are very few of them.
I think Del stops at the waterfront. And is there like, say, either maybe like a boat or something, or like a large enough piece of rubble, or even like a trail of rubble leading up to the city, because Del can't go in the water?
There are a lot of dead sea creatures on what
Great.
used to be the lake shore. It's very sludgy. There is a lot of like old, like ancient rubble and shit that could probably float. But for the most part, it is too, like, this town was essentially in the center of this lake that is now much lower, much smaller. And as it is, you can see like more of the colossus, like one of the colossi like falling, and you just see a few boats leave the town, coming in your direction.
Okay. If there's no way to get to the town, Del will look over and be like, I do not function particularly well when submerged in water.
Then don't go in the water.
So I'll take a couple steps back. Like, look, it looks like they are coming to us, but I will not be able to help unless I can get a lift to the city itself.
Are there any like boats along what used to be
Up
the
towards
coast?
the original one?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like, that's a good point. Yeah, there's like a probably like a small rowboat, but it's a ways. You're gonna have to like drag it down to the waterfront, and you suspect that these people will arrive before you would be able to do that.
Okay.
It's not too far off, and they eventually, and these very, very tall people with blue skin and sort of slicked back, long, braided black hair step off of these boats, various ages and genders, and there's like three small boats that kind of, and they get off, and everyone is silent. And they sort of begin collecting things, pulling things off of the boats. And as you watch them, you see flashes of nonverbal communication. You can see different signs traveling between them. And eventually someone catches your notice and disappears into the crowd. And then a older man, slightly stooped, but still kind of about Dell's height, approaches you and starts to sign for a second, and then stops and sort of just drops his hands and says, you find the Ascani at a very dark time. I suppose you can see for yourselves. The Storm King has damned us. And he sort of just gestures towards the colossi, and what's left of the town as it sort of begins to sink into the lake. As you're travelers, and he looks past you towards the forest, and the like huge swath that Dio's body sort of cut through the ground. He says, "Did you come from the forest?"
We did, correct. We have traveled away.
So,
I don't know what you expected.
But you, he looks like really surprised. He says, that is very impressive to travel through Porto and Queres. We do not have much left to offer you in way of hospitality. I'm sorry.
We're not looking for hospitality. We're looking to help you.
He looks around and he says, I do not know what we can do. He looks out towards the colossi and he says, there is nothing left. The people you see here, we are the survivors, the last of the Ascani. And it looks like even the colossi themselves are crumbling into the ska. And he he points at the crown, and he says, just yesterday, well, the night before, I suppose, something struck the crown of kings, fell out of the sky. We were organizing a team of people to climb the colossi, but I suspect it will come to us now. He watches as another piece of the crown
This whole time, Dell's been pretty quiet, and all the lights are just this dark blue. Like, I haven't said a word.
We suppose I will take my people south towards Davia's perch. Maybe we can find shelter there.
Have any other locations that might be open to receiving you? Davia's Perch isn't exactly in the best of state right now.
Why is that? What has happened at the perch?
Oh,
Big
she
old
looked at
space for
Dylan Beatrice.
questions.
There's been a change of the regime.
Interesting. Hmm. And he looks at you and he says, well, whatever regime is there now, I can't make much difference after. And then he stops. And he opens his mouth. And you hear the voice of Sovereign say, where are you running to? What have you done? All of this? Just to escape me? Pilgrims. This is folly. And then and he doesn't really even seem to notice anything has happened. Whoever is there, they will take us or they won't, but we do not have anywhere else to go. Past the scar to the north is wildlands, horrible places. To the west, the Burrs, too easy to get lost. No way to know where you're going. No, I suspect we will take our chances with the forests, and after that with the perch.
Coming from experience, sometimes when you lose everything, the rebuild takes you in a better direction.
He smiles. I have thought that I lost everything before. This is different. And he looks back at the rest of his people and says, but not everything. Again, the Ascani will find something. Though I suspect it may be difficult to get my people to move. And he looks at them, and most of the people are just frozen, just sort of staring out into the town as it crumbles. And you see, the three of you, Zamira, Beatrice, and Del, will you roll me level 3 intellect tasks, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, Zamira and Del, you look out, and as a piece of the crown crumbles, you see a flash of light, and a large chunk of that kind of purplish black nightcraft material falls into the lake near where the town currently is.
Del looks like, may we borrow a boat to visit your city. If we find anybody, we will aid them.
Man looks back at the boats and then just sort of nods and says, "Sure."
Thank you. I think just
And-
Dell slowly makes their way over.
You're able to sort of get onto this. It's a very simple, very small craft. You're able to board it as more people sort of finish pulling off their things. And in the marble inside of Zamira's pocket, where neither Sparks nor Dio can see nor hear any of this, Dio has kind of quieted down after this tirade, and she's sitting in the just sitting in the marble, just sort of tapping her fingers against her knee. I don't know what to do. You trapped us in here.
You trapped us in here using a defective device.
Oh, it's okay. Yes, all right. Probably. No, actually, yes. You're probably not wrong about that.
Does this thing conduct electricity? The walls, I mean. Are we or are we not in a Faraday's cage? No, okay.
I don't think we are in Faraday's cage, but I don't know who that is. So maybe.
No, it's just a term. It's named after things. I don't know what.
Oh, I was planning on going home. I was going to draw a bath. Relax.
That's your problem. You keep planning. You can't plan for life. Life just happens.
I suspect that you just happened.
Well, that would concur with what I just asserted, yes.
When I get out of here, I'm going to chuck this marble into the sea.
Sounds like a good idea. It's a deplorable device.
Yes. And she stands up and she says, "Okay, I'm going to walk very far away from you, as far as this tiny marble will let us. Do not follow me." And she turns and she just starts walking.
All right, let me know when you're far away enough. Hopefully then you won't get hurt.
And she stops, and essentially she is just like in this shot, she is just on one side of the screen and Sparks is like just on the other one. You're maybe 30 feet from each other, and she just sighs. And then she just lets out a scream. Beatrice, what would you like to do as you all are loading onto this boat?
I'm just gonna pass him one of my Numenera that I have on me. I have among some of the starting ones. It's a telepathy implant. It's just a level one, but it lets the user activate. Well, actually, I'll put it in chat right now.
There it is. So you hand it to him?
hand it to him, and I explain, should your group become separated for whatever reason, or you need to split up for a little bit and scope out an area, just anything. We don't. There is much that could be learned from looking at these kinds of devices, but it is in much better hands to give it to you and make use of it for more practical purposes.
He nods and he takes it from me and says, "Thank you. I'll do what I can with it. Be careful out there. Be careful out there." Oh wow. Be careful on your way into Eskaska. The wreckage is bad. The colossi are crumbling. I'm not sure why you're going in there, but it is very dangerous. Okay. Farewell, travelers. And he sort of rejoins his group. As you all sort of convene on this boat, Del, you're able to take the long paddle at the back and just kind of ease it into what's left of the lake, heading towards the colossi in the town. And as you travel across the surface of this lake, Zamira, you feel something strange in your pocket. And we cut to the inside of the marble. What is Sparks up to?
We can see out of the marble. Can we see out of the marble?
You can see out of the marble. You're looking into Zamira's pocket, but you can't see out of it.
Do the edges of the space which we are walking as far as we can away from each other feel curved?
Yes.
How deep is the pocket?
I mean...
Probably to like mid-thigh from her hip.
I will do nothing for now, but Sparks is thinking.
So the boat sort of glides into the wreckage, and Del, you're having to sort of navigate as like structures, houses, buildings sort of just kind of float by you. You see just a massive stone, the stone head of this colossus sort of rising out of the lake. And you navigate through the long shadows cast by the different parts of this colossus, as well as the colossi that are still standing. You see large, kind of like fist-sized rubble falling from above. And you come to this place where the wreckage has sort of dispersed enough. And floating on the surface of the lake with light shining off of it, emanating from it, you see what looks like a disc of that sort of ship skin, the malleable form of the Nightcraft, floating on the water. And just above it, on it essentially, is another one of those control orbs, glowing this bright light that kind of emanates out from it. There is rubble and dust and smoke everywhere, just kind of in the air, as this light kind of shines through, and you all are watching it as you see a large crack form in one of the arms of the one of the colossi that's still standing, and it begins to fall towards you, and that is where we will leave Nightborne for today.
Whoops.
I'm filled with so many emotions.
What a different episode from our quiet camping trip.
Oh, just a wee bit different. Not exactly the same thing. No, quite opposite things, aren't they?
Jeff, I remember you saying like it's going to be a fast-paced campaign, yada yada yada. All of our stress has been inflicted by one individual, and it's not what you're doing, Jeff.
Sovereign, right?
Yep.
No,
What?
die, Sparks.
I am.
Got the S sound.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. If Sparks had been able to leave said container, I don't think he'd be conscious at this point, based just off of Beatrice.
What?
Like, if Sparks had been able to be jettisoned from the container,
Yeah.
Beatrice would
get
have just
shit
been
beat out of him.
blasting.
Oh, I see.
No, not even. She wouldn't stop until she was like clear he's unconscious and like knocked
Yeah.
out for at least a few hours.
I know Dell would like to have a word with Sparks about that because he's learning a lot of very negative emotions right now, and he's figuring out that he doesn't like
to see what Jaren feels about
Jared. Yeah, Dell is learning that he hates seeing people suffer, and it's been happening a lot. Dell's adopted an orphan Raskar. More pets.
Yeah.
I cast regret.
I loved it. I had a great time.
Oh, so much. I would have loved to have visited that town. It sounded like a really nice town.
Yeah.
I laid out quite a cool bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, the people seemed lovely, sad and
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah,
The
it's
Colossi
really nice.
would have been a cool thing for
Yeah,
Beatrice to
it would have been
document.
such a cool place to
Just
visit.
recall that neither Scrat nor Sparks knew about the town.
Accurate.
This is true. You did know about making an explosion of a giant creature, though.
Yeah, and you didn't know about A, making a giant explosion, B, like using your pet as a meat shield, and C, using Dio as a meat shield. Don't redeem yourself
Try
here,
to
you're
kill two
awful.
people at
I didn't
least.
quite. Well, I mean, didn't quite use it as a meat shield, as like a.
You said the phrase meat shield.
Oh yeah, no. For
I
Batty,
always said
yes.
meat
The
shield.
Rashgar, yes. But Dio, not so much. I just use them as a landing cushion.
Yeah.
You can call it. What is the
No,
phrasing? Rose by any other name is still would be that explosively damaging
Oh,
and
man.
terrifying for a human being to suffer through. Is that the
I
quote?
forgot
Am I forgetting that?
we had so much going on with the town. We had to phase away from what I planned for you all inside of the nasty goopy burr forest. Oh man,
Oh,
get back to that
God.
later. You guys should go back there.
No, we're not going back there ever.
You should walk back over there.
Well,
Oh.
I think that is about us, everyone. Let's today we're gonna go and head over to Not So Speed Runs, who is running. They're running a charity stream, and for the whole Jasper's Week thing, I think,
Awesome.
or is it St. Jude? Looks like they're raising money for St. Jude, actually. So they're going to be heading over to there. I think their stream is 100% charity. Don't quote me on that. You have to check with them. But that's where we're going to be going. We're going to head over into the Discord, where we can talk about today's campaign. And until next time, keep on evoking emotions. I'll let you know very soon about the Call of Cthulhu campaign and how Alice is. See you later, everyone. Bye.